boomerang talent strategy. Think about all the young professionals who left the Maritimes over the last decade to chase corporate ladders, Toronto, Vancouver. Today, many of them have young families. They want to buy a home with a yard, they want to be closer to their roots, and they're tired of that big city grind. Welcome to Talent Titans, the podcast where we bring you global entrepreneurs and leaders from the staffing industry. I'm your host, Suki Sodi. This episode is sponsored by Ascend. Hiring in the US and Canada can be complicated, but Ascend makes it easy. Their all-in-one white label platform takes care of onboarding, payroll, benefits, and compliance so you can focus on growing your agency. To learn more, visit ascend.com. Now, let's jump right in and welcome today's guest. Happy Canada Day week, everybody. Okay, so today I thought we'll have some fun and we will talk about Canada and everything Canada has to offer. It is a great place to live. It is a great place to have a business. And there's some little known facts about Canada. Firstly, Canada is the second largest landmass after Russia. Most Canadians live within a 90-minute to 2-hour drive from the US border. Now, if you're a hiring manager or a recruiter sitting in an office downtown Toronto, or maybe you're an international leader managing a Canadian expansion from New York, San Francisco, London, Europe, it's incredibly easy to treat Canada as one single market. But it's not. You post a job on LinkedIn and slap on a remote Canada location and you wait for the resumes to roll in. But you've actually tried that and you probably already know it is a trap. Canada is such a large country, multiple time zones. Recruiting a software engineer in Vancouver is a completely different universe than hiring a project manager in Halifax or an operations expert in Calgary. From provincial tax realities and local employment standards to massive costs of living, shifts, and deeply ingrained regional identities, you simply cannot use a one-size-fits-all playbook. So today, you're going to have some fun. We're going to go on a cross-country tour from ocean to ocean. I'm going to break down the localized hiring trends, cultural nuances, and regional strategy shifts you need to know to win the Canadian talent war. Okay, so let's dive in, and we're going to start our journey out east, Atlantic Canada. If your perception of the East Coast is still stuck on postcard images of lighthouse, fishing boats, or purely seasonal industries, I'm here to tell you that you're missing out on a massive economic shift. Over the last few years, cities like Halifax, Nova Scotia, Moncton, New Brunswick have all seen an absolute explosion in population and economic growth. Atlantic Canada has quietly transformed into a major hub for ocean technology, cybersecurity, and financial back office operations. But the recruitment landscape there is highly unique. The local talent pool places a massive premium on lifestyle, stability, and community. You are simply not going to win over top-tier candidates in Halifax simply by flashing a flashy corporate title, if it means they have to sacrifice their work-life balance or answer your emails at 10 o'clock at night. But here's the thing. Here's a secret weapon for recruiters targeting the East Coast, the boomerang talent strategy. Think about all the young professionals who left the Maritimes over the last decade to chase corporate ladders, Toronto, Vancouver. Today, many of them have young families. They want to buy a home with a yard. They want to be closer to their roots and they're tired of that big city grind. As a recruiter, you can offer a competitive salary, even if it's slightly adjusted for the local market, paired with true flexibility and genuine respect for their personal time. You can lure that world-class talent right back home. The key takeaway for the East Coast, don't pitch the hustle culture, pitch the community, pitch the stability, don't underestimate the sheer volume of highly skilled professionals just looking for a reason to boomerang back home. Now, moving west, we hit Quebec, Montreal. Now, Montreal is a global powerhouse. If you're recruiting in the video game development, artificial intelligence, Montreal is arguably one of the top 3 cities on the planet. But you cannot recruit in Quebec without understanding both its distinct cultural identity and its strict legal framework. Let's talk compliance first. If you're hiring in Quebec, you have to be intimately familiar with the province's language laws. Bill 96 is not just a guideline, it's a legal requirement that protects French as the primary language of work. Every written communication, from an initial job posting to an employment contract, and even internal corporate software, must be available in French. If you're an out-of-province company trying to hire a remote worker in Quebec, you simply cannot skip this step. You need localized HR expertise to ensure you aren't opening your company up to massive compliance risk. Now, beyond the legalities, there's a distinct workplace culture. Montreal talent values creativity, artistic freedom, and robust employee protections. Highly collaborative environment, and candidates expect a high level of respect for their personal time, excellent parental leave top-ups, and comprehensive wellness benefits. So if you're looking to source from Quebec's incredible talent and creative pool, do your homework first. Translate your materials, respect the local language laws, and lead with an employer brand that champions culture and creativity rather than the corporate metrics. Now let's move into the heavy hitters. For decades, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the Canadian recruitment landscape was Ontario. Actually, the Toronto-Waterloo corridor. It's Canada's financial engine, home to our biggest institutions, and boasts an incredible concentration of tech talent and top-tier university graduates. But the crown is being challenged. Enter Alberta. Over the last few years or so, we've seen an unprecedented interprovincial migration trend. Tens of thousands of skilled workers packing up their lives here in Ontario and moving west to Calgary and Edmonton. And let's be clear, it's not just for the oil patch anymore. Alberta's tech, clean energy, aviation sectors are booming. Alberta recruiters have a weapon that Ontario companies are struggling to fight against: housing affordability and lower tax burden. It's incredibly easy to make a pitch to a stressed out worker. Hey, Toronto developer, do you want to live in a 600 square foot condo with $1 million mortgage? Or do you want to move to Calgary, buy a detached house, look at the Rocky Mountains every morning, and keep more of your paycheck? It's a brutal pitch to compete with, and it has created a major dilemma for Ontario employers regarding remote and hybrid. If a Toronto-based company mandates that everybody must be in the office 3 days a week, a good chunk of the talent looks at the local housing market and says, no thanks, I'm moving to Alberta and taking a remote job or joining a local Alberta startup company. So how do Ontario companies fight back? You have to lean heavily into career acceleration. Toronto is still where the global head offices live. If a candidate wants to work on the most massive scales, manage complex global portfolios, and experience the highest upward mobility, Toronto is still the place to be. But as a recruiter there, you can no longer take talent loyalty for granted. You have to pay competitively. You have to offer clear, accelerated pathways for internal growth to justify the high cost of staying in the region. Finally, we cross the Rockies, we land on the West Coast, and we're in British Columbia. Vancouver is an incredibly fascinating talent market because it sits at a unique geographical crossroads. It's Canada's gateway to the Asia Pacific region, and it shares a time zone with Seattle and the Silicon Valley. Because of that time zone alignment and Canada's favorable migration pathways, global tech companies have built massive satellite offices in Vancouver. They use it to house elite international talent while navigating the US visa process, or simply to tap into the high quality local market. But this creates what local recruiters call the Pacific Premium. Local British Columbia companies are caught in a vice. On one side, they're competing for talent against massive US tech companies that pay in hyper competitive salary bands. On the other side, Vancouver is one of the most expensive cities in North America to live. So if you're a homegrown British Columbia business or a mid-sized company trying to hire there, how do you compete when you can't match a $1 trillion company's budget? You have to lean into the green and clean employer brand. British Columbia talent is deeply passionate about the environment, social responsibility, and the famous West Coast outdoor lifestyle. If your company has a genuine, actionable sustainability mission, highlight it. If you offer flexible hours that let people hit the ski slopes or the ocean on a Friday afternoon, make it your headline. Additionally, because Vancouver is a major immigration gateway, recruiters who excel at onboarding newcomers, helping them navigate the transition into the Canadian workplace without discounting their international experience, will always have a massive competitive edge. So that's quite a journey. We've just covered roughly 5,000 kilometers of talent landscape in under 12, 13 minutes. If there's one major takeaway I want to leave you with this Canada Day, it is this. To win the recruitment game in Canada, you have to think globally, but act locally. Out east, prioritize lifestyle and hunt for that boomerang talent. In Quebec, master your compliance and embrace the cultural nuances. In Ontario, understand how housing costs are actively redrawing the talent map. And on the West Coast, leverage your corporate mission and lifestyle benefits to compete with the global heavyweights. No matter where you are today, celebrating from, whether you're barbecuing in your backyard in Ontario, hiking in Alberta, or enjoying the coast in Nova Scotia, I wish you all a fantastic, safe, and happy Canada Day. Thanks for listening to Talent Titans. Be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, share it with your colleagues or leave a review. It really helps others discover us. Talent Titans is sponsored by Ascend, the platform that simplifies hiring across the US and Canada. From onboarding and payroll to benefits and compliance, they handle the back office so you can focus on growing your agency. Learn more at ascend.com. I'm Suki Sodi, and I'll see you next time.